Welcome back, everyone. Now that we have seen one alternative operation that Java provides to replace if-else-if branching when necessary, which was the switch statement, now let's look into another alternative operation that Java provides, hopefully making for the cases to make our lives easier. Now, to do so, let's first of all, to look into ternary operators, let's first of all create a new class. And we're going to call it Ternary demo. And we're going to create this class under our section 3_2 package. And let's create our main method. And right now, since we already know we've typed these so many times, we're going to start using our shortcuts provided by Eclipse. So typing main and holding control, hitting space will create the signature for you. And per our usual standards, from now on, we're not going to leave any logic in the main method. We're going to create additional methods. And this method, we're going to call public static void ternary if. And that's, in this case, let's add a parameter. We're going to call it int number. So parameter called number of type int. So our method here will take a number, or let's make it more professional, takes a number as an int and checks whether it is greater than or equal to 0. Simple task that we've seen before. And for the same task, this is how we else if branching. This is how we solved this task by using else if branching before, right? So if we're given such a task, what we would do is we would say that if the number that user gave is going to pass, the parameter called number that user is going to pass is greater than or equal to 0, we're going to print out greater than or equal to 0. Else, in all the other conditions, we're going to say less than 0. So a number is either greater than or equal to 0 or less than 0. There are no other alternatives, correct? So there's 4 lines of coding here. There is one statement in Java called ternary statement that does the same thing in a single line. Look at this example here. I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to code this in regular English. Let me open a parenthesis to make it easy for us to read. Is number greater than or equal to 0? Question mark. If it is greater than or equal to 0, then greater than or equal to 0. Otherwise, I use colon. Otherwise, less than 0. And this here is one statement that will return either this part or this part. And since this is going to return one of these two, what I can do, I can print it out, right? So I can say system out print line, put this whole thing in my print line method, close the statement. You want to test this? Let's create our test values in our main method. So test values. First, let's add value 3. Let's add 0. Let's add -5. So we're checking for 3 potential options. Either the number is greater than 0, or the number is equal to 0, or the number is less than 0. First, we're going to call our else if branching. Oops. Else if branching here. And we're going to pass in number 3. And let's keep our indentation solid, right? So let's open up some space. Space is free. And second, we're gonna test our ternary if method. And we're gonna pass the same number, the same value, 3. Our first test value, we're testing for that. When I run this program, both of these methods should print out greater than or equal to 0, right? Run it. Perfect. And I'm missing a dot here because my ternary statement does not have a dot after this, you see? So this is a demo of the fact that the ternary statement actually printed out the first part of two potential values, right? And if I pass 0, results should remain the same because 0 is equal to 0. So it's gonna give me the same result, this time with the period added. And if I pass in -5, the output should be less than 0 for both. So this is what ternary statement does. It takes basic if-else condition, puts it in a single line. Okay, very simple. Syntax is, you don't need these parentheses, these are optional, but they make it easy for you to read. So you add condition here, the same way we added the condition in our if statement. You ask the question, is this condition true? If this condition is true, I'm going to return left side of my column. So if this is true, I'm just going to do this, similar to this branch here, right? But it is separated by the else branch with a semicolon instead of the word else, open curly braces, close curly braces. So if number is greater than or equal to 0, is it? Then I'm gonna, if the answer is yes, I'm gonna return this. If the answer is no, I'm going to return this. Now, this is an example of a single line print line method used within else if, with ternary, so that you cannot fit this thing inside a system out print line method, right? This is not gonna fit inside one method like this. It fits inside another method, but it's a different story. So it's not gonna be convenient to write all this inside here. But this single ternary does it better. Now let's show you another example where we will see the benefits of ternary actually much better than this example. So let's say we have the same dilemma: public static. Okay, something happened. Public static void if demo. It's the similar example, right? However, in this example, we're going to do this. We're going to create a variable. We're going to call it message, right? Now, we will use if-else branching to assign value to message. If number is greater than or equal to 0, then the message is going to be equal to greater than or equal to 0, period. Else, the message is equal to less than 0. Correct? And close our statements. Do not forget your semicolons. Then I'm going to print out my message. Usually we will see down the road when we will develop methods of our own, we will start with declaring our local variables because this is going to be easy. So we're going to have a message and we're going to print this message. What the value of the message is going to be is going to be determined by the number that user inputs, by these conditions, by this simple if-else branch. Now, the same, since we have seen ternary in action with a print out, let's do this. Let's create a very similar method, ternary demo int number. Let's do this. String message, right? The similar to what we have, and we're gonna print out this message. So we created our method. Basically, what our method is going to do. There is an error here. It says that it might not have been initialized. Yes, we do not have value for message. So this is what you're gonna do. Message is equal to is number greater than or equal to 0. question mark. If it is, then the message is going to be equal to greater than or equal to 0. Otherwise, your column here, the message is going to be equal to less than 0. When the number is greater than or equal to 0, our message will be assigned this string value, because message is a string, right? In all the other cases, our message is going to have this string value. That's it. Your question mark, you ask a condition, you place a condition, you ask whether this condition is true. If it is, you put a semicolon, define what happens if it is true, what happens if it is not. Okay? Since you see this is a declaration, this is assignment, and we know that in Java you don't need to, you can put these two things in the same line. So let me just delete this part, and voila, in the 6-line coding can be taken down to 2 lines of coding, keeping the same approach, that creating a local variable. And we also saw how Ternary took down 4 lines of coding to a single line of coding. So this is the advantage of a ternary statement. I will leave it up to you to test these 2 methods. So we have test values here. Instead of calling our previous 2 methods, call our if demo and ternary demo methods, pass the values, and see if you can find a bug in it. Now, in the next video, we will look at the conditions where we have more than 1 option, more than 2 options, right? Here you have either true or false option, right? Either if or else option. What if we have multiple cases? What if I want to see is the number equal to 0? Like, what if I have an else if branch? Can Ternary do it? Can Ternary tackle that challenge? The answer is going to be yes, and we will show you how Ternary can do it in the next video. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Thank you.